Hey everybody, welcome to our fourth episode of Batting Practice. And our favorite topic, our favorite thing, and I think it's one of yours as well, and it is time for Team Takeover.
We're going to be breaking down the Detroit Tigers, Seattle Mariners, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Milwaukee Brewers. So we're going to start with Detroit, Panda. What do you think Detroit needs to do to turn this team around?
I think the first thing is they need to look at potentially rebuilding a couple of positions, catcher and first base. They have a nice base to this roster, but overall, some of the guys, specifically at catcher and first base, are getting a little bit old. And I just don't think that they're going to be viable when this team does go to compete. So I think one of the first things they got to do is kind of not sign a guy right now for these positions, but sort of look at, okay, who can we maybe sign on the cheap this free agency that could step in a year or two to take over catcher and first base. So that would be where I would start.
Yeah, they don't want to be blowing anybody away with a big, huge free agent signing with, one of the top guys. I think you're definitely on the right track saying that they need to be looking more lower end guy that's going to be cheaper but still produce. Don't be taking any shots at guys that won't be able to help your team as a whole right away, as opposed to just helping the stats. I agree. They definitely need a first baseman. Obviously, Nathan Cruz is not starting material. But a big focal point for them, I would say, is building around Darquez, I don't know. Darquez Galvin. He really could be the next big thing. But, yeah, that's... Maybe I should be drinking tonight. I swear last week I was just flowing and it was great and I was hammered. You want to take over while I just go do some shots, Panda? Jeez, I'm tripping over myself. You're tripping over yourself. Oh God, please bear with us this time, guys. Last season they had an average starting lineup age of 26 and a half. This year, if the manager doesn't let things get out of hand, I think they could be a much better team. Maybe switch up the lineup. Just pay more attention to your everyday guys. Switch up the lineup here and there, see what works. I think that they're not too far off from being a solid team, though.
Yeah, I think one move they could potentially make would be looking at starting pitcher Fulmer. And seeing what they might be able to get for him on the open market. Again, my reasoning goes back to when you look at this team as a whole, while he's clearly their ace, by the time you're ready to compete, he's going to be way past his prime. He only has 2 years left on his deal, so you're going to have to re-sign him if you want to keep him. You may end up having to overpay him. So I think, if you could look at flipping Fulmer for a couple younger prospects from a competing team, maybe some draft picks, and then look at transitioning those into maybe catchers, first baseman, as well as signing. You can go out and get a number 5 starting pitcher to get you through the season. That wouldn't be a big deal, especially with free agency. But trading, I think if you are able to trade Fulmer, you'd get a lot for him right now, and I think he would be definitely worth taking a peek at for you as a team, just seeing what the market is.
Yeah, and going along the lines of flipping some veterans into prospects, I'm looking at first baseman Chris Davis of the Mariners. Right now, he's signed until he's 40 years old. He just hasn't been able to perform. I think it's time that they trade him before he's completely untradeable. Nobody wants him, and he's going to be eating up a lot of cap. Yeah.
I think you could also look further down that roster after you get done choking on that shot.
Told you I'm trying to make it interesting, guys.
If you look down the roster, I think the other first baseman that could go would be Logan Morrison. I think the same issue. This guy's going to get paid until he's 38 years old. He's subpar at best right now. He's not your starter, and yet you're paying him $10 million a year. I don't see how that works for this team in the long term. I think that would be the second guy on this roster that should go.
Yeah, this team's going to turn into the New York Giants just by looking at them if they hold on to these guys. You've got Andrew Suzak, who's signed until he's 36 years old. You got Logan Morrison, who is signed until he's 38 years old. And Chris Davis is going to be signed until he's 40. I mean, come on. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Panther that took over and signed these contracts, man. You got to be using your head here. I mean, do I want to be paying Chris Davis $17 million when he's 40 years old? Best season he's had was in the very second season of this league, excuse me. He hit 242 with 59 home runs, and that's where he maxed out. He has not been better. Since he's joined your team, the best he's done is hit 227. That's not something that I want to throw in my everyday lineup. That's someone that needs to be traded or, hell, just even cut him at this point, because he's not doing any good on this team.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it puts this team in a position. This team is growing older by the day. They're in a position where they have a lot of good pieces, but they sort of need to decide this offseason, are they going to just go all in, try to sign a couple more guys and get it this year, or are they going to start to scrap some of these guys, flip them into contracts, into players? Because this team was not the greatest last year. So when I look at it, I almost feel like this team would be better off just going the rebuilding route and seeing what they could get for some of these guys and just seeing how this would play out for them. There's not... You look at that lineup, and a lot of these guys are 30 plus. I mean, I don't know what the average age is, but you've only got two guys that are 25, 27. Everybody else is 30 plus. So just kind of, looking at your everyday, I think it might be time to flip this thing and start trading off some of these pieces.
Yeah, I really think it's too little too late as far as contending with this group of guys here. Maybe last season they would have had a shot had they explored better options in the offseason, but now it's just time to scrap a lot of it on offense especially. They've got a decent group of starting pitchers, but they had the worst batting average in the league last season, only hitting 215. This offense has more holes than they can cover in just one season. I think they need to take a few seasons to get back on track. Little, solid signing here, there, make some trades in their favor, dump some of this ugly cap, these old guys off. And one guy that I think that they probably shouldn't be looking to deal, though, is Brady Aiken. He's their clear-cut ace. He's someone that should be a cornerstone for this franchise from here on out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the one positive signing that they made this. I'm not sure if it was this last offseason, but definitely a positive signing, a guy that you can build around. And I think you sort of just need to sort of be okay with rebuilding at this point in time and just see what you can get for some of these different pieces. Just to see what's out there. Because I agree. I think a lot of these guys are past their prime. It's sort of too little too late to pull this together. But if you wanted to try to go for it one more time, you would definitely have to make several big splashes to make it a reality. One team that's a little bit more primed to actually, I think, win this year would be, if we take a look at the LA Dodgers. You could start with, they're probably in one of the weakest divisions, and we say that lovingly, out there in the NL West.
Love you, Toto.
It's still a very good division, but probably one of the weakest within the league. So, this team definitely could get flipped around. And when you look at the roster, they do seem to have a lot of the pieces that are on the right side. But again, they're another team where when you look at them realistically, several of their better starting pitchers, some of their outfielders, some of their hitters within that lineup, they're hitting that 28, 29, 30 years old range, where you're coming into that point where you've got to spend some money this offseason, put some pieces together, and really make a run within the next year or two to make this a reality. Otherwise, some of these pieces are going to have to start being traded off to other teams.
Yeah, I think the signing of Barzalo proves that the Dodgers haven't given up on making the postseason in 2022, which is a good mindset to have. They want to do that. They need to make a few changes, though. Gaddis is old. He's not producing. You need to trash him. Maybe free up a bit of cap and see if you can't get a hold of Christopher Cohen, outfielder for the Astros. He's been going back and forth negotiating with the Astros owner. looking like he's probably going to be testing. So that's a guy that you're going to be wanting to look to sign. Because I think he's a big market kind of guy, and he's going to bring a pop in the middle of your lineup. Trade some of that farm talent for a starting pitcher or two. You got some decent guys down in the minors that you could trade for some starting pitching, which is really a big area of need. So they finished 19th in ERA last year. They're really not too far off from being a division and even a pennant contender, but there's still some small changes that need to be made just for any team.
Yeah, I think they need to address their number 4 and number 5 starting pitcher slots. That would be a good place to start. James Johnson is just still too young to be playing, there. You're asking a lot of him. I think you got to give him another couple of years. And then I think the other thing you need to do is address your bullpen. However, I would not recommend going out and spending a ton of money because if you don't end up making the playoffs and need to start, selling off pieces of this team, a huge contract will really hinder your ability to do that. So, good relief pitching help, especially towards the back of the bullpen, is very easy to find, can often be very cheap, 1-year, 2-year deals that are very team favorable. So that's what I would look to do, pull in a couple of those, and then agree with your statement. Trade some of that farm talent, trade it away, get yourself a good, doesn't need to be an ace, but a number 4 or number 5 starting pitcher to put into that rotation for you moving forward.
Yeah, I think you definitely had an excellent point yesterday when we were talking. You said that these relief pitchers come at a dime a dozen. You can get a guy with 6.5 hits per 9, and he'll perform just as well as an Aroldis Chapman, who's got a ridiculous 2.8 hits per 9. Don't go and spend your money on some marquee reliever here. It's not going to do you any good. Go after some guys that you have seen perform, that have put up similar numbers, that that you can get for a lot cheaper, because there's going to be a lot of guys falling under the radar, just like every other year.
Yeah, and I think if you take that approach, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more pieces, a lot more ability to, kind of fill in your roster and round it out in a way that'll benefit you, not only as you try to make a playoff push, but as you try to go further than that too. So definitely look at that pitching. I think if the Dodgers can correct that pitching, they can definitely be more of a contender next year. One other team that I think has a rotation that is also aging that you kind of got to address would be Milwaukee. And when you look over their rotation, so many of these teams sort of stuck not in the bottom, but not really in playoff contention. You kind of look at their pitching and go, yeah, that's probably why. This rotation is aging. They're again in a situation where they need to decide what to do. So, just kind of as I look at them, it may be time to start piecing off some of these older starting pitchers that are just getting past their prime, because you're not necessarily competing next year. And I don't think, unlike the Dodgers, I don't think this team really has the components to be a serious contender next year.
Yeah, and some things that they're lacking right now, they've got Willie Coley starting at catcher. He's obviously not going to be a long-term option, somebody that hopefully won't be cracking the starting lineup this year. But as of right now, they don't have a second baseman at all. I could see them targeting Buddy Lynch, former White Sox, who is now a free agent. Maybe try to get him. He'll probably be coming a little bit cheaper than some of these other guys. This is a pretty star-heavy free agent class this year. Like you said, starting pitching is always a point of need for just about all the teams that we look at in the team takeover segment. Right now, I think their best guy is Adrian Sampson. He really peaked with the Pirates back in 2020. Last year, he just completely fell off, and he only got 1 year on his contract. See what he's got. Probably not going to have any left in him. Dump him. Just pick up a few starting pitchers this offseason, Wendy. I'd just be looking for some back-end guys just to keep your team running, because I don't see them being a contending team this year.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where this team is actually built a little bit better. than some of the other ones that we've looked at, because when you look up and down their roster and their contract situation, the contracts seem to be pretty favorable towards the team. They don't have any long-term hampering contracts that are really going to eat up their cap for a long time, long past any, player being, valuable to the team. So when you take that into consideration too, I think Milwaukee needs to understand they're in a good spot. If they trade away some of these older guys, get some picks, get some younger players back, build up that way, continue to make smart deals in the offseason for starting pitchers and relief pitchers that fly below the radar, find those guys that you can bring in, add to this roster with the expectation of it's okay, in 2 or 3 years we are going to make a serious push. So I would caution Milwaukee from signing any players that would hinder their cap situation dramatically, and don't get carried away by this being a star-studded free agent class and handing out 2 or 3 mega deal contracts to players just because you can. So that would be kind of my thought on what this team, and out of all these teams that we've looked at, Milwaukee probably is the best off when you look at contracts and longevity of them.
Yeah, I think it'll stay that way too. Wendy's definitely not the kind of guy that's going to go out and paying Aroldis Chapman $20 million to be a reliever. He's definitely smarter with his money, and I think they are in very good hands right now. So I think they're definitely going to be a team to look out for the next few years, because Wendy has proven that he can take a crap team and turn them into something pretty. So I look forward to watching all these teams in the next few seasons.
And I just want to let you know, Bradon, Bart Foote is still the number 2 starting pitcher in San Francisco.
Don't even get me started on that bull. Oh, you want to know what we discovered? We were looking over San Francisco's roster. Looked, and we were complaining that they only had three outfielders in their major leagues, and they were 36, 37, and 40 years old. Guess what? They got 10 outfielders in their minors. 10. Half of them are ready to get called up. I mean, are you shitting me? Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stop now. This is going to get really not safe for work very fast, so. Oh, okay. Why'd you even get me started on that, Panda?
Because we got to keep it interesting.
Oh, I think it's plenty interesting. It was interesting from the get-go when you screwed up the intro.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be even more interesting because stick around, guys. We're about to have Howe Matthew join us, and we're going to look over some free agents and give him some time to rant about whatever he wants. So stay tuned. So in case you guys didn't pick up on it, we've got Howe Matthew on the line right now. Currently, we're talking about our commissioner's plan to expand to 32 teams. So we're just getting Howe's take on it right now.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think we got way too much going on already. And I would like to see 30 good owners come in first before we expand to 32. I mean, the league just filled, didn't it?
Yeah,
I think we were
recently.
I think we were missing actual participants in the league. So
yeah, Matatek just joined last week.
Yeah, and he's oh god, I love Matatek so much. Shout out to Matatek. He is f***ing awesome. He is badass. He's one of the good people on PC. If you don't know Matatek, follow him on Twitter. But
can you give us the Twitter
he's
handle?
A good guy.
Yeah, what's the Twitter handle? We're giving Twitter shout-outs now.
Shemail Matatek at 17. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Something to do with. Yeah, I don't know. But he's a good guy. And regardless, I love Matatek so much.
About the expansion, though, last thing we need is 2 more San Francisco type teams coming in and screwing everything up and starting a bunch of 35, 40-year-olds and 2 whip guys on their number 2 starter position. I'm not getting started on that again. I already did it earlier. But, yeah, I think we definitely settle down, figure out where we are as a league, let it chill for a couple seasons. Because, I mean, he couldn't even Obviously, he had problems with his phone, but couldn't even hang on, for the off season this year. Hopefully, he's
Right.
coming back here on Friday, but I couldn't imagine what would happen if he was trying to, run an entire supplemental draft and, something happens to his phone for a third time and just gets way out of hand because there's only so much Panda and I can do and so much that we will do. So that's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
Well, we are.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Panda.
I was just gonna say we are 24 hours removed from Yitz rejoining the site, and there is already Yitz drama.
What?
On the
There's
public
Yitz drama?
boards. On the public boards.
Oh, let me listen. Oh, I can't say that. Oh, shoot. Gosh darn it.
Well, I mean,
What's the problem now?
maybe it might not be its, which I was going to say, BK, like that would have been the greatest thing if we would have made a fake Yitz after the draft.
I thought about that.
You
I
did.
really-
Well, you should have messaged me.
I did, and you don't even respond to my tweets anymore. I always DM you on Twitter, then you'll open it like a month later. You're like, oh shit, what's
That
up?
was one time. That was
That
one
was
time.
twice.
Before
It was twice.
I knew how
twice.
Twitter worked. Well, I mean, Yitz is trending on Twitter now, so
Hashtag free Yitz.
yeah,
From
just
the
like
attic.
well, free Yitz from the attic.
Yeah, if you guys don't know this, we tried to get Yitz on here tonight, and apparently he got locked in his attic, so he was not able to join us tonight. So hashtag free Yitz from the attic. Go ahead and use your tweeters and tweet that.
Yeah, there's a GoFundMe. There's a GoFundMe started too now. So
Or, somebody just call the fire department, like getting a
Or,
cat out of a tree. It's, just get Yitz out of the attic.
or the Department of Human Services or something.
Yeah, we're calling CPS. You don't have to be afraid anymore, Yitz. Oh, God. All right, we got to talk about the league.
All right, restarting the segment. What are
Okay.
your
All right, yeah,
thoughts
that's
on league expansion, and should we be doing it this off season?
I think everything's so convoluted right now that there's really no necessity for league expansion. My only argument is that the draft classes have been so heavy hitter wise that maybe I can see that because the league is flush with really good bats, really good hitters, and I think it's really lacking pitching. So I can see maybe kind of watering out the batting a little bit by having two more teams come in.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, I think we have to focus on the people we have now and the owners that are participating. And there are, like I said, there are a lot of people that are participating in this league, but there are some that are not. And I say we need to get good owners in before we try to expand our horizons a little bit.
Yeah. And
I say get more quality and less of and
well, at the end of it, eventually you got, a group of good owners, and then it comes down to, okay, well, now we just got to fill, so I'll take anyone because you just get desperate for whoever. And
Right.
I'm not trying to, say anything about any of the guys we have here, but obviously a lot of the teams aren't working out, and obviously some of the owners aren't 100% with this league. And it's a hard league to really get into and get involved with because of the realism with the contract negotiations and everything. That's the biggest issue. It's a push factor as well as a pull factor.
Correct.
It's just a catch-22, and there's no way
Yeah.
around it. That's what makes this league great, but at the same time, it will scare off a lot of guys, especially the ones that are already in 20-plus leagues, no matter how good they are.
Yeah, and I think to Howe's point, I mean, I've got a guy on my minor league roster right now, outfielder Oswaldo. He's a 985 OPS, a 363 on base percentage, so not fantastic, but I could not trade him for like a 5th round pick last year. Like, I could not find anybody, and I was constantly messaging owners, and it was like, people were like, yeah, well, I've already got 6 of those in my major league outfield, so I don't really want them, so no thanks.
Yeah. It is getting very, very clustered, no doubt about that. And we really just need to take a few seasons, figure out how things go as far as the strengthening or weakening of draft classes, and just take it from there. It's too early to be trying to expand on things, especially just 2 seasons ago, the Marlins moved to Las Vegas. I mean, that just happened. I think we just got to chill out for now.
Yeah, I concur.
So what do you guys think of some of these crazy bad contracts?
You really want me to do this again?
I'd love for it.
I did it last week. I did it earlier before we had Howe on the air. Howe missed all that, and now you want to do it again.
I mean, but how are you classifying bad contracts? As like way overpaid or way underpaid?
Yeah.
Way overpaid.
Like the Brandon Bell syndrome.
Yeah. Ken Giles syndrome, more like it. You got a reliever making $29 million. Who the does that? Who?
Oh yeah. You did this already, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And now Panda wants to bring it up again.
Let's find some new ones.
Why you gotta bring up old Panda?
There's always new ones to look at.
No, because we went over the 15 worst teams, and I think that pretty much takes care of them all. Because if your team's winning 90 games, I don't give a what you got going on. Honestly, you're winning games, so who cares?
Well, you didn't really hit on Joey Gallo too much. Just kind of mentioned him in passing.
Is Joey Gallo even on it? Oh, the Reds got him, didn't they?
Yep.
Yeah, they're idiots for that. Why?
34
he was
mil.
making 34? Yeah. Yep. Making $34 million for
Jesus.
a guy that who'd be lucky to make $5 million in this league. We're going to talk about some free agent fits this week. We've got 7 different free agents over here, and we're just going to break down where they think they would best fit. First, we got Manny Machado. He's in running for the MVP still, because those awards have not been announced. Thanks, BB fan, for that. He's with the Phillies for the last 4 or 5 seasons, and now he's up for grabs. Where do you guys think he fits best next season?
I was kind of thinking Boston. And when I was looking over some of these guys, I was just sort of trying to take into consideration if they were, they're not going to want to go to a crappy team and sit there and rebuild, because, a lot of these guys are in their prime. And so I was thinking Machado, third base. Boston kind of had some shoddy third base work. Young guys, but just, not ready. And I think if Boston could actually put in Machado into that lineup, that would be a scary team for you to play, BK, over there in the East. And I think that would throw them into playoff contention immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I see them as already a playoff contender at this point, but that would definitely put them up there as far as battling us for the division. That would be ridiculous, especially after we traded him to Philadelphia and then he comes back to bite us at Boston. That'd be something to see. I've actually got him going to the Rays. Their biggest deficiency, I think, was at third base. They had Jeff Lynch, or have, I should say. He hit 220 last year. He's got a lot of power, but he just can't get on base. I think they moved Jeff Lynch to DH and bring in Machado, move him to third. They have the money to snag him, and that would turn them into a serious World Series team, I think. And that would really give us a run for our money, too, in the division.
Yeah, but, I mean, wasn't Jeff Lynch a f***ing all-star?
Jeff
I
Lynch.
think he would. Yeah, he was an all-star last year.
It depends. Like I said,
I don't understand why the Rays would need him. I mean,
he can't get on base, and that's my biggest issue with him.
He's an all-star. His average sucks.
Yeah.
He can't get on base, but you hit 39 home runs and 103 RBIs in a year. You don't need replaced, dude.
He's Chris Carter on crack.
No,
that's what he is.
Well, okay. Well, Chris Carter probably is on crack. But I mean, Jeff Lynch is $3 million, 2 years. The Rays have a solid third baseman for the next 2-3 years.
I just really feel he would be better suited at the designated hitter position because they can afford Machado.
Do they even? I'll have to look and see if they need a DH, but
they don't have a whole lot of pieces left on offense. I don't think. I think they lost a few guys.
Yeah, I just don't see a fit at all there.
Where do you think he'll wind up then?
An all-star third baseman. How do you? Why? He's an all-star. What more do you want?
What would BK do?
Seriously.
What would BK do?
BK is from the land of plentiful, so.
Yeah, it's because I made moves like this. If I was in Tampa Bay's position, I would say, all right, here's how I do it. It's not that I feel like I really need to beef up at this spot. It's more like, hey, I have the money. Why don't I just take them from somebody else? That's how I do it. And I'm kind of a but I don't really care. I'm just taking it from other people, just basically eliminating the competition. And then you sell him to a crap team or a bunch of prospects, and the cycle just keeps going on and on and on.
But yeah, I think it's how do you think the Rays need to replace an all-star third baseman? Like
they're not replacing him. There's no replacement going on here. I mean, their best guy returning it was Alex Yarbrough. He hit 280 last year, 318 on base. After that, Jason Mack, who hit 243 last year. I just really think Machado is a piece that'll kind of round him out more, is how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything.
Yes, you are.
No.
You literally keep telling me I'm wrong. God.
I'm just saying.
Matthew J. Howe.
They have an all-star third baseman.
Wrong.
They have an all-star third baseman already, man.
Wrong. Why don't we move him to DH and beef up?
Point.
I don't even want to hear what you have to say.
All right.
I'm over it. Next up on the list, you've talked enough today, Hal. Next up on the list, we've got Astros outfielder Christopher Cohen. We mentioned him before, and he's still talking to the Astros organization. They're kind of going back and forth. Looks like he's leaning towards testing, but what do you guys think? Where's he going to end up?
Well, I was kind of thinking New York would be a good spot for him.
Wrong.
Well, what New York? There's 2 New Yorks.
The Yankees.
Dude, why do you want these guys to go to my division? What the hell?
Well,
I see what you're doing. You son of a bitch. Oh, I know what he's doing now. He's just convincing all these guys, all these owners to sign these big name guys in my division so that I lose the division.
Well, you guys are the media. The media does have influence.
Yes. Yeah, we do. No, I was thinking New York. Just because they don't have any good outfielders, and we need somebody to go in there and kind of, beat down Baltimore a little bit.
Nobody needs to beat down Baltimore.
I see why you wanted him to come to the Rays then. Machado to the Rays? Oh, no, that wouldn't make any sense. Why would you want him in your division?
I just want to beat the crap out of him.
Tampa Bay already has a good guy at DH. You realize that, right?
Who's their DH?
The first baseman.
Back?
Yeah.
Okay, then who's going to play first base? Not Pena.
Rick Pena, he'll do fine.
None of these guys can get on base worth a Their best guy got on base with a 318 clip.
Yeah, but you don't need to get on base if you're going to
yeah.
hit 255 home runs.
They
Nobody
didn't make
stays
the
on base
playoffs.
that
Hey,
long.
hey, did they make the playoffs last year?
No, that's why they need.
Okay, then they need to improve.
BK, settle down, buddy.
They need to round out their team, is what I'm saying.
I think they need to
Simmer
look at
down.
starting pitching first.
Simmer down.
Why not both?
Well, because they don't have that much money.
All right, so you like Cohen to the Mets? Or the
No,
Yankees?
The
The
No,
Mets.
the Yankees, remember? Because he's trying to pick on me.
No, honestly, I think
Yes.
the Yankees have one of the
Yankees.
worst outfields out there.
Yeah, I can
Just-
see that.
I mean, it was dreadful. They only have 4 guys right now, and with, when you look from a real stat perspective, that whole outfield is really subpar. And I think if they wanted to actually be a legitimate contender within this division, I think that's where they got to fix first. So that's why I have them going to the Yankees, because their run production is just terrible.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I can see. Yeah, their outfield's not all that great, and Cohen will definitely give him a boost.
George Springer. Let's take a look at George Springer, another outfielder. So you all know where I think he should go. But what about you guys?
Dick. I've got him going to the Rockies. I mean, could you imagine a crusher like Springer in Coors Field? I mean, on an up-and-coming Rockies squad, too. I mean, that would just be ridiculous. I mean, if you're talking, he's already hitting 50, 60 home runs a season with the Astros. He could break the record very easily. I think he'd be a great fit for not only the team, but the stadium as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the Rockies, but I think he's done so much damage in Houston. I think that's his place. So that's his home. And that's where he likes to be. That's where he hits well.
Problem with them is, though, they've got $3 million to work with in cap. That's the biggest issue with the Astros now, because they signed some of the wrong guys, and now they're kind of found themselves in a bad place. How? Buddy Lynch needs to go home. There's no reason for him to leave so long as the money's there. He hasn't made right now, I think. Unless he's too good for his home.
No, he's not, but I mean,
How? Listen, his bags are packed. His family's waiting. He's ready to go. You just got to tap it in. Just tap it in.
tap him.
Just tap it in.
I got Micah Johnson for a year, and then I have my first round S prospect coming up. So
You gonna QO him?
no, I don't think he's worth that much money.
Well,
Personally, I don't.
I mean, you're not gonna see anybody accepting qualifying offers. Really, it just doesn't really happen. The most you would end up paying him was $5 million, really.
Yeah, no, I think
You
I'm
don't
going to
think he's
give
worth
him an
that?
offer. I'm going to give him a solid offer, but nothing extreme.
Yeah. I just think he's kind of got a good fit right now, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. No, he's a good guy. He's great, but
Hot wife.
yeah, I think I have other needs, actually, so.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Where did I have him going?
Milwaukee.
I thought it said
Yeah, Milwaukee's desolate. I don't even know if they have a second. There was one
no,
team
they
that
don't.
didn't.
They don't have a second baseman.
Yeah, and it's windy, so I think it's the kind of guy windy jumps all over. I don't know how I'll have to look at their contracts,
I
but
think they have like $32 million to play with this offseason. They definitely need to upgrade at catcher, first base, second, pretty much everywhere.
well, I think Lynch is young enough that he can fit into any plans they have.
But yeah, get him on a team-friendly
I mean-
contract. I think that they can really do something with him. Okay, what do you guys think of Kyle Crick, a starting pitcher? I think we all agreed on this one, it looks like.
Yeah,
We all got him going to the Cubbies. They're looking for an ace. And, now they got one in former division rival Kyle Crick. He's perfect fit. might be a key factor in the Central Division races next season, and that could be huge.
Yeah, Chicago's pitching is pretty terrible. I mean, they have a couple. No, it's terrible. Like,
Not even a couple. You guys suck.
like what is? I mean, what is Donovan doing there? Are you kidding
They
me?
got Hendricks in the minors, and he's their best one.
Why is
Yeah.
he in the minors? Did they
I don't know.
send
Why
him
were
on
there 10
vacation?
outfielders in the minors on San Francisco?
I mean,
We should all be asking these kind of questions. Maybe they'll finally become self-aware.
Yes.
I no Chicago. Their rotation is just in shambles, and if they don't start somewhere, they need to start throwing money at people to get them to come and fill in a couple of these spots. I mean, it's just if you want to be a true contender, you got to start with your rotation. Your bullpen can be great, but if you don't have a rotation, forget it. The rotation is going to give up 5 runs before your bullpen even gets in the game. So they got to fix that if they really want to be a contender. Otherwise, I see them still being a pretender. So, yeah, they got to fix that starting pitching.
Yeah, I see. I mean, it's always good to steal like you're one of the best pitchers away from your division rivals, as in Crick would be stolen away from the Cardinals. But I mean, I really see Chicago. I mean, all these guys are they're peaking right now. I mean, they're at their apex
Yeah.
for most of their batters. And yeah, they do have some younger guys, but I mean, if you throw in Crick in there, that's going to stabilize the pen. And I don't know what the Cardinals are doing, but I think they're aging as well, if not more decrepitly than the Cubs are. I think the Cardinals are more advanced in their aging process. I think the Cubs are more right in their prime with a lot of guys like Schwarber. Rizzo's getting old, but Baez, Bryant, Russell, I think those guys are all peaking now. So, I mean, this is what you wanted it to be. You wanted all those guys to peak at the same time. So you need to bring in some pitching that's going to enhance the batting, enhance your hitters. And I mean, their starting pitchers they are pretty bad, but they're not atrocious. But
Yeah.
I think Crick he stabilizes that and gives you a legitimate ace on the Cubs, probably not a legitimate ace on other teams. But for the Cubs, it's going to be a legitimate ace. And the bullpens, they got some good things, some bad things going on there. But, I mean, really, you built this team for this moment, so you either do it or you don't. You're going to have to decide if you want to sell off and start rebuilding or go for it now and spend some money and try to do it, try to get into playoffs, try to hit the wild card. I mean, the Pirates, the Cards are both really freaking good teams.
That was very inspiring. I do respect the fact that the Cubs have really held on to the guys that they originally had on their roster. You know, Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, Addison. You know, I think that's pretty special because you're not going to see that on any other team in this league.
I mean, at best, they're trying to go for a wild card spot, I think. I don't think they're going to win the division at any point outright. Not with Pittsburgh and the Cardinals, but...
Pittsburgh's in the East, actually.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My bad.
But,
well, still,
yeah.
Philly and Pittsburgh are way, way tough teams. And so, yeah, I think the best hope for the Cubs is to sneak in on the wild card. And like I said, all their guys that they've been saving are at the point, are at the pinnacle of their careers, or at the pinnacle of the stats. So this is what you were waiting for. I mean, you should have had a pitching staff to support this, to ascend equally or simultaneously as your hitters ascended, but the Cubs obviously don't. But I mean, Crick could be a really, really solid pickup, and he could be a good pitcher for the next couple of years. And
So what do you guys think of starting pitcher Bradon Guillen?
I've got him going to the D-backs. I think they could create a series dominant 1-2 punch with him and Ziomek. They got a solid bullpen to back up his mediocre stamina. Obviously, that's not going to get any better because he's at a flat progression rate. But I see this as a great fit for him.
dude, he's 23. He's a lefty. I mean, really, it's the stadium. I think he's going to be the highest priced free agent out there.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that might scare some people off, but I could be wrong, would just be that flat progression. But again, last year, that international free agent Hahn got $29 million at a flat progression. So, I mean, yeah, he definitely could be, but it's not the best starting pitcher class we've had. It's more heavy on the batters this year. So he could be making 20 plus easy.
I mean, and for anybody, I mean, even if you have like an aging pitching staff, like he's a good guy to, if you have the money to spend it on him and just plug him into your minors or have him be a number four, have him be a number 4 or 5 starter on an aging pitching staff. He can go anywhere.
Different about this league though is he's gonna definitely be looking for number 1 or number 2 role depending on where he's at. You know, I don't know if he's gonna be wanting to be a number 3, 4, 5 guy just because the money will be there if somebody's going to pay him to be an ace.
Well, I think as long as he gets innings, I don't think he really cares if he's number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. As long as he gets 200 innings in a year, who cares if it's 1 through 4?
Yeah, I agree, but I felt like he was a good fit maybe for a rebuilder more so than maybe a contender just because he is 23. So he might be, and he would be able to plug into one of those top spots within the rotation, so a little bit more incentive. So that's why I was kind of thinking initially along the lines of going to a rebuilder, somebody who needs that ace, that anchor for the pitching staff, and then like maybe
the franchise player.
Yeah, maybe 3-4 years down the road when they're ready to compete, you push them down in the rotation and sign up somebody a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
that was kind of my thought process.
Yeah, I mean he could go anywhere. I mean it's really who's going to spend the money. I think it's going to be money, personally.
Yeah.
And he's going to excel. At some point, he's going to be the face of a franchise anyways. I mean, he could be at 23 like he is now. Like, he could be the face of the franchise of Arizona or the Braves right now. Or he could develop into more of the face as the older people get weeded out and he becomes the man. I mean, he's got options. It's a choose your own adventure book with him.
I just feel like right now he's ready to be the man though. He's not going to get any better with his progression rate.
Yeah, he will get better.
Maybe. He might have
a little bit.
He might have one season where he progresses, but for the most part, the flat guys just stay flat. All right, where do you guys think Aroldis Chapman will fit?
Anywhere?
Anywhere? Just anyone that'll pay him?
Dude, that guy needs to get paid.
He's going to get Ken Giles type money. He's getting $29 million. And I swear to God, if it's the fucking Giants again, I'm going to have a very stern talk with the GM era.
Well, maybe Brandon Belt and Aroldis Chapman have a weird connection.
I don't think that's how it works. I'll be honest with you.
No?
Maybe they're going to move Brandon Belt to catcher and move Chapman to starter, and then he'll just throw a perfect game every time out. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with that. Just whoever will pay him. I don't think he really cares if it's a contending team or not. But how do you feel how do you feel about anything in this league? We're wrapping things up now, so I'm just gonna give you a little. What's your closing statement? What you got?
Okay, let's talk about this then. Okay, what do you think about? So why not have a system where we sign certain contracts, aka like if you're an S progression, you should automatically get a bump up. You should automatically get at least $1 million raise each year.
Each year.
Mean, yeah.
And can you imagine having a guy that's already going to be requiring a $20 million contract and sign him for 5 years, and now he's
who's requiring that?
Obviously all these draft class guys, the S progression guys, haven't materialized into those kind of players yet, but it's gonna happen soon. I thought you were thinking more along the lines of like entry level contracts.
That's what I am. No, because this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people that are 19 years old with S progressions getting signed to $2 million 13-year contracts.
Yeah.
That is horse ass.
You're just making words up.
Horse ass. What do you want me to?
We're trying to help Panda here. We're trying not to load up the fucking bleep.
It's a bunch of tomfoolery, if you ask me. I mean, as player stats ascend, I think simultaneously their contract should ascend as well. I mean, it's not the real major leagues. There's no risk of somebody breaking an ankle or getting cholera or hepatitis. I mean, these guys are going to progress. As prospects are going to progress.
Yeah. You know what I want to see implemented into PC altogether?
As long as they have their immunization shots. Kids, get your immunization shots.
I can't even say it anymore. You're so hammered. Immunization shots. Get them, guys. Can't even talk anymore.
Okay, so the way to win in this league is to draft 19-year-olds with S progressions, sign them to $2 million contracts for 13 or 14 million years. 13 or 14 years. Sorry. And that's what they do. Look at that. That's what they do. That's how you win
right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Something just kind of branching off what you're saying about, like a catastrophe happening with the player, like a broken leg all of a sudden happening. Kind of want to see something happen with, updating like injury length or, you can have, if you're a commissioner, you can set it to, a high injury prone league or low or even like career ending injuries. I just kind of feel like that would obviously piss some people off because it's a game, but if it pisses you off, then don't join that league, obviously. I've always thought that it would be kind of cool to see much longer injuries and maybe injuries that'll hold them out for a couple seasons even. Guy has Tommy John, he's going to miss a season and a half, something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with that. Like, I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, I was thinking it more based on, I don't know, you can set the injury amount. I don't know what you can set it at right now.
I think it's up to 50.
Yeah, you
Is
can.
that the max?
I believe
50 is
so.
the max. I mean, I've always thought that was just crap to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I guess it's just so people don't get butthurt over it, but guess what? That's what happens in real baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happens, and I want it to be more realistic.
Well, I've seen leagues where
I mean,
commissioners will randomly choose. I can't even remember. It would be like they'd randomly choose 10 guys to be out with Tommy John or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that league, Panda. I think I was in that league with you. I just want people to have a fucking fair shot in leagues. I mean, you should never be 2 or 3 years away from making a run to the playoffs.
That's pretty realistic, though.
And I mean, the way some of these leagues are set up is there's no fucking way you can ever fucking compete at all.
Yeah, if you've got, the guys that always dominate.
I mean, really, I just want to see a league with 30 participants that are decently educated on PC and that are all active. I mean, I really think
happen. It doesn't happen.
I mean, I think it's a community. I mean, what we do for Yitz or what we don't do for Yitz or whatever, that is fucking awesome. To me, that's a kid that it doesn't know, that has no clue on life.
What?
And he comes here for maybe not guidance, but something, maybe an escape. BB Fan doesn't make this league. All the individual members make this league. And as much as they put into it, BB Fan should put even more into it.
I mean, you got to remember, this isn't real life, obviously. This isn't like a full-time thing that we got going. Like you said, it's an escape. It's something that we all do. But it's not something that everybody can handle full-time. So that's why I don't really get on, commissioners when they're not really, when they're kind of absent from the leagues, because that happens. They can't really control it sometimes.
It's life. We spend our time. I mean, our time is the most valuable asset we have. And we spend it dicking around on pen and chase.
Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. It was definitely an interesting show. Thanks for joining us this week, Hal. Look forward to having you on again at some point. I thought it went really well. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. Good night.